as it is. Yeah, so tell me a little bit about your journeys in Descript.
Okay, so it started off super impressive by the things that it can do for you, and not even the thing that I needed to do in order to edit. For example, I just gotta tell it, take it out of there. And it
Mhm.
does. And it made an hour and 15-minute long video, an hour and 5-minute longs because
10 minutes of ums.
10 minutes of ums and an uncomfortableness quiet that is can be
Yeah,
taken
the
out very
awkwardness.
easily. Yes. Definitely still learning how to use the interface. The fact that I didn't realize it at first, so I did it a lot manually, but I did subtitles to some sections in the video that I was editing, and I did that for each section.
Mhm.
Later on, I learned that I can just do it for one and copy paste these attributes and then just very easily continue with
Yeah,
my
with the
editing.
scenes.
Exactly, yeah. In general, video editing for me is completely new. It's not something I've done before. So understanding the layers is something that is completely new to me, and I didn't realize it before. And the more I'm doing it, the more it makes sense, and it's very easy to see it too, which I love because then I have a visual representation of the layers, so I understand how to edit specific things within specific segments of the video.
Do you ever use, like, any image editing tools or anything?
I have, but again, not to that
Level?
detail. Yeah, not to that level. I was never super into the editing, and it was always if you edit an image, you edit it for social media, and that's super easy, and that's not even layers really.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
this
because
is
like, Canva doesn't really have layers, or at
mhm,
least you don't really I don't know, that's not how you interact with that tool.
exactly. And it is layers to some degree. It's just not showing it to the user as layers.
Mhm,
And that's where that was something that's completely new to me as someone who never dealt with video editing.
mhm.
And I felt, first of all, let's give some credit where credit is due. I was instructed for probably 40, 45 minutes by Goda. Goda
Mhm.
Go, very amazing what she taught me in that 40 minutes. Then I went on and I edited for probably a couple hours, solid 2 hours that I spent on an hour-long video where I felt like there was a lot of editing to do. It was a
Mhm.
Zoom meeting and I needed to make sure that some people's faces are not showing, that we get subtitles for some sections, that we're switching some of the branding that we had there. And it took me a couple hours, but I was very proud of what I did. And when I sent it back to Goda, she sent me a 3, 4 minute recording with, hey, this is awesome. Here's a couple other tips that you can use. And I've noticed that you didn't. And it makes it even way faster than it was when I just learned it. So that's the example of that copy pasting of the attributes makes it so much faster. And I bet I could have done the 2 hour work in 1 hour just by knowing this one trick. But at the same
Mhm.
time, it's good practice. It's easy to use. I feel like there is so much more that I'm not using though. This is
Mhm.
what it feels like. I feel like I didn't truly unlock the capabilities.
Yeah, I feel ya, and I feel like I'm somewhere along the spectrum in the middle between you and Goda. I know enough to be dangerous, but there's definitely a lot of learning I still have to do, and learning that happens when I essentially what the process is, I get really frustrated with something, why is this taking so long? And then I Google it, and I try to figure out how to actually the better way to do it, because there is so much you can do, it can be a little bit overwhelming, sometimes it can be hard to navigate, and Descript is fairly new, and they're pushing updates all the time, so there's also, like, bugs all the time, so sometimes it doesn't quite work the way you want it to, but then the huge upside is that allows people like you and me who are very amateur in editing things to like edit videos. I have a little bit more experience because like I've been doing podcasts for years and I've always just been interested in like creating and editing things. But even then, if you put me in front of Final Cut Studio or Adobe Premiere or something, it would be a little bit harder for me, I think. Whereas Descript is intuitive for the most part.
Yeah, I completely agree with that statement. It's the fact that I felt really overwhelmed with any other editing tool that I've ever even opened, just overwhelming immediately. And here it seems like they've figured out a way to make it fairly user friendly, at least for amateurs like myself.
Mhm.
So it is then fairly easy to use. And one other example that we're doing for the courses, we needed to provide subtitles in a separate file, a VTT file, which I to this day have no idea what VTT stands
I
for.
don't know what it stands for either.
I
I'll
don't
Google
think
it. Keep
I'll.
talking.
Okay, okay. And that's something that I didn't even understand the request initially when I was told you need to provide a VTT file, I didn't even quite understand what that meant.
Mhm.
And I think that is about a 5-step process in Descript. That is one of the easiest things to do on this system. And I was like, oh, okay. Is it that easy? Truly. And it was that easy, truly. And it just made me so happy. And yeah, what is
Mhm.
VTT? I'm curious now.
You're gonna laugh how it's duh. Voice to text.
Oh my God. Yes, this is annoying. That is annoying. Yeah, that makes complete sense. And yeah, it was much, much easier than I expected for it. As a non super techie person, when you're told anything that is seems just a little out of your reach, if it's a VTT and it seems so simple now, right? Voice to text,
Mhm.
obviously. But at the same time, you've been told to provide these files and not knowing what it is. But this script made it so easy for you to do it, export it separately, export it in many other formats too, which I don't know what they're saying for all of them. It just makes it nicer to use. And I want to go back to and continue to use it and continue improving myself in using this. Um, and this script, I feel like is allowing it.
Yeah, and I'd say to the point of the way the user experience is text based, which I feel like most people are like visual or audio. I feel like I'm more on the text side, and I just love how the way you really interact with it is through the script part of it. And that makes everything super easy because it transcribes it. You can just delete the words you wanna delete. You don't need to go searching through the actual video. And like you said, it's super easy to do caption subtitles, VTT, because the central component of it is the actual speech that you're the transcriptions. Yeah, I've been very impressed, and again, I get frustrated from time to time, but it makes being able to churn out quality content a lot easier and user friendly, which is always great. Accessibility is super important.
Right. And I think there's something even to add there. The fact that you interact with the video through the text is allowing for easy editing for things like podcasts or webinars, workshops, where the text is truly the heart of the video. I feel like if I don't know because I'm not a video editor, but if I would need to work on editing a movie and some of the scenes don't have any talking in them, then it wouldn't be as great. But for the things that we use them for, podcasts, webinars, workshops, courses, I think it's crucial because that's truly allowing us to ensure that what we want in the content, the words that are being used, are getting the stage in the video. So I think that's something that is really helpful for me and you because we use it in a certain way.
Yeah, and I'd say too, back to the text, with all these large language models, like text is king. The more text you have, the more things you can do. And so I did a video on how I create my Miss Nura blogs and do the sound for it. And what this allows me to do, right, is since I have the transcription, you can then very easily create all like the social media content around it because you're essentially just saying, summarize this thing for an Instagram post or whatever, and or just put it in whatever knowledge base you have to hold. As one day, if you want to make a Tomer bot, you'll have all this text of you talking about things. So yeah, I think that is probably the most unique feature of Descript is, like you said, the heart of it is the text, and then everything kind of springs out from there.
Yes, definitely.
Okay, let's hop into this video and we can struggle through it together.
Let's
I
do
like to
it.
call it learning in public. So, for those who don't know, Tomer and I, and many others, including my brother and another synth minder, James, have been hard at work developing all these AI courses through a Yeshiva University Global Certification Program. They're going to be going live pretty much next week. We're recording this on the 9th. Our first course goes live on the 19th. So we hope you're interested and want to take them. We are currently, shameless plug, have a promotion going. We'll put just the promotion codes in the description for you and all the links and stuff. But for development of these courses, Tomer and I recorded all of these prompt walkthrough videos for our like business leaders, our ChatGPT and business leaders course. Still trying to figure out what to call it. So we figured we'd take the opportunity to edit this together and show you all kind of our process and maybe even give us some feedback in the comments of how noobs we are. Give them,
We will need it. We will need
yeah,
it.
some of your tips and tricks would be helpful. But I've done some of the heavy lifting to get us started just because it's time consuming. So I'll walk through what I've done up until the point we're at. You can see our sexy faces here, and we have sort of the screen share that we had. Now, through Descript, they recently purchased this other company called Squadcast, which is what Tomer and I are on right now. And essentially, what this allows you to do is just like record with better audio and video, 1080p and whatever, as well as do things like download the videos as separate files so that you can play with it easier in Descript. So I essentially took those and I clicked and dragged them all into the transcript here, or the script as they call it. And then it took a really long time to convert all of that into the text that you see here. And then we have our little video canvas over here, which I haven't done anything with yet. And then just something new that they recently added, they have these actions up here. Have you used any of these yet, Tomer?
I've used it mainly to remove ums and
Yeah.
fillers, I believe they're called.
Hmm.
I did choose not to remove all the fillers. Like I know, or and words like that, I did want to leave it because it felt naturally in the video that I was editing. But there were a lot of ums, so I did remove them.
Yeah. So we'll get there soon. But one thing I want to point out is they just recently added this Ask AI button. And the first thing I did with this is do this add chapters or markers. Now, this helps in two ways. One, when you eventually put it up on YouTube, it does the chapters and markers for you. The second is we sat down for about 2 hours to do this essentially all in one take. Obviously, we stopped throughout when we messed up and whatever, but the idea here is I want an easy way to get to the different parts to look at what we're talking about. So you see here on the side, it has all of the chapter markers that it generated automatically.
That is
And
awesome.
then,
How did you do that again? Only through the AI?
yeah, you go to actions
Mm-hmm.
and then ask AI and then add chapters or markers.
Nice. That makes life easy.
Yes. And you'll see here, we'll get to it at the end, but I used to have to go into ChatGPT or whatever, input the script and be like, give me social posts, give me a YouTube description. And now you can just do it all in here. So the next thing I did, which was a huge mistake, and I undid, which is I took this 2-hour video and there's a couple cool things you can do. One is studio sound. So you'll see I have a nice expensive microphone here. Tomer does not. He's just using his headphones. And this just essentially uses AI to make you sound fabulous so that you don't have to have the most expensive microphone ever. And then the second thing is you'll see in like a lot of my other videos, I do green screen. So it'll remove the background, even though neither of us have a green screen background. If you click green screen, it'll again use AI and just remove all the background around you so that you just have more space to work with. A lot of people you'll see on YouTube, or they still do, when they do these videos, they usually have the aperture around them, right? So you have to have a super nice background. And then I don't know, you're not gonna be able to see my background in this video because I'll have removed it, but it's a mess back there. And it just makes it a lot easier and just, I think, provides more space for you to see the screen, which I think is important. So I tried to do that with this full 2 hours and it took forever and then it screwed up and it was hard to do things. So I would not recommend that. So instead, I thought we need to break down this video into its specific chunks. And that'll save time, I think, in the long run as well. So the next thing I did was I went through and I highlighted all the parts of the video that we're actually going to use in different colors for each sort of segment. So you'll see when you highlight things, you get this nice little bar here, and there's this nice little highlight button, and you can choose different colors. I ran out of colors for it, and we're not going to go through all of this anyway, but you'll see this whole section here that we messed up and we need to redo. And I ended up the first time I went through this, like editing that and then realizing we needed to redo it.
Oh
So I was
no.
like, okay, there's more time wasted. So then I was like, I got to go through and highlight everything. I did that. Again, you'll see for each segment. So now what I'm going to do is, since we have this highlighted, there's this nice little feature, highlight everything, and then duplicate to a new compass. Oh, we'll just put it in title. And so now when we go to untitled, and I'll title it now, I think this was, I forget which of the SWOT analysis that we did. So you'll see it just put in the highlighted text. And so now I feel comfortable going in here and we'll do studio sound and the green screen, since it'll be significantly easier to do. Oh, it looks like it already did it for you. And green screen you. So while that's working its magic, we have the timeline down here. So it's not just all text. You can still control things, luckily. But you'll see you were talking about the filler like taking out all the filler words and stuff. The problem with doing that when we have something like a screen share is that, at least off the bat, it doesn't connect the two. So when I remove all of the filler words from here, it doesn't delete them in the same, it doesn't like remove the same spots from the background. Let's see if I can remember how to do this. We need to create something called a sequence.
So what does this sequence do basically? Does it create another layer of all of them together, which then will allow you to cut and make sure that if you're cutting the on my video, it will also cut on yours?
Yeah, so it just connects the two layers so that whatever you do to one, it does to the other. Okay, I'm gonna do the everything I did before again, essentially, but we'll just do it for one. So right now it's creating the chapters. We'll just add these to script. Okay, and so we have Hey, I'm Joe. Let's go down. Let's figure out where we end. Right here. We will highlight you, and then we will duplicate to, I guess we'll do new composition. I'll just delete the old one. Just delete you. Delete. You got clips. We'll call this SWAT. And then we'll do what we did before. Oh, nice. Already has the studio sound. I wonder, oh yeah, it already did because we did it earlier. Now it's super quick.
Hmm.
We'll go back and cut out the nonsense, extend out. Oops. Go for a little bit more. Come on. Get the middle. Get us in the corners here. What do you think? Are we big enough? Too big? Not big enough?
I think that's perfect because um I do want to see more of you, yes, for sure. But the heart of the video here is the prompt, so we want to make sure that they see that.
Okay. So let's just play. I know you can't hear.
It may be because we're small, but I cannot even see any movement. Is the video also playing?
Yeah, I'm
Okay.
moving a little bit. Give me a little bigger.
All right, I see it now.
Let's just see where the text shows up. I'm gonna make this just a little
Hmm.
bigger. Uh-oh.
What happened?
Your voice is a little bit like too early. Let me see.
Okay, so explain what's going on here. This is the separation between my audio and yours, right?
Yeah, so this is the different sequences. So let's go back, see if that changed over here too. Um, yep, that looks good. Okay, discovering new things all the time. Let's see. Oh, we're talking about my cat. Remember? Which it did not come out in the recording. So this is actually, oh, so this is the full video, which is fine because now we just moved it. Let's do done. Now the question is that change it here? It looks like it did. Yeah.
So what did you do? Did you delete a section from one of the
No.
sequences?
No, all I did was move it. So when I double click into here, it brings up the sequence for the entire video.
And then you just moved yours or mine's a little
Yeah,
farther
I moved
back?
yours a little bit to the right. Yeah.
That's amazing.
So let's go to back here to our first video and see. And yeah, it looks like it did. Oh, hell yeah. Okay. Wow. So that makes it, oh my God, that would have been such a pain in the butt.
Yes, yes, this is a big one, I feel like. I don't know if you want to continue with the videos, but I want you to show me the narration. I'm not sure I pronounced this correctly. Narrative,
Yeah,
narrating,
we can do that. So we're not going to do narration for this video,
right?
but it's definitely worth going through. Um, did it actually delete your ums? Let's come back here and oh yeah, we haven't actually removed anything yet. So let's do that first. And then I think we did the gaps. Yeah, we're good there. Okay, so for narration, there's a lot of different options, but where you start is you go to text and you go to captions right here.
Mm-hmm.
At least this is how I do it. I have these set up with a certain color already, but this is all customizable. So over here, you have your options. You can change this to a bunch of different things, but we're doing captions right now. You can change the opacity so you can make it more or less transparent. For the layout, I never use this, so don't worry about it. Your text, what your font is, how big you want it to be,
Mm-hmm.
the font size, how you want it justified. Do you want it all caps? The main thing I do though is the style. There's a combo of different things. So the fill is just the color of the letters themselves. The border is like this, just around each
Mm-hmm.
letter. I don't usually do that one though. The background, that will be the background for the whole thing. Again, I don't really do that. But this is the fun one, the active word. So I have it set if I press minus, I'll take it out. But what this just does is as you're talking, it highlights the word as you're going along. And then you have the like how that's actually going to look. So when you have your active word, I have it set so the fill is going to be this like off-white color and the background will be this purple color. And then you can also mess around with the future words. So if you want it to be more like really focused on the active word, it will you can play around with making them more or less transparent or even these different colors so that it only you have full control over what those words look like, both in terms of what you're talking about right now and the words that are coming up, so that you're really attending to the word you're on versus like the words that are coming. And then the thing you were talking about were scenes, which we didn't really get into for this, but you see this little slash here. Let's say I only want to have the words, the subtitles for this first paragraph here. We would come down and put another slash here. And what this does is it makes a scene. You'll see it added another thing right here. And so what that means now is anything you do in this first scene does not impact the second scene. So I can now delete these subtitles for this one, and you'll see they're still here.
And
But
then they
now when we
stop.
get to over here, they stop. And so you can do this with all kinds of fun things. So for example, there are a lot of stock footage and images and whatever. So if I want to, for example, take this image of trees and stick it in here, it's going to take a minute and then I'll create another scene again just so you'll see what will happen. Give it a minute. Should have done an image, not a video. So I'll just let this go through while it's loading and hopefully it'll work by the time we get there. And then you can obviously move this wherever you want
Yeah.
or animate it.
I think it's pretty much the same, but what I was using was a karaoke option. That's how it was called when I was adding it.
Do you
Um,
want to share your screen to show how
I'm
you were doing
trying
it?
to run this, but I'm getting
So
all
slow.
of the warnings. App is not focused. Network is struggling. I just all of it together. It's not. I'm trying to find the exact settings that I have it on, and
hmm
it's still loading. Mm,
That's
see.
why you want to talk me through it on my screen.
Yeah, I think if I remember, I was adding basically a background because I needed to block um
Something.
yeah, to block something, in this case, person's face we didn't want to use. And then I used the slash exactly like you showed. Then I went to, let me see if it'll let me do it. It won't, can't remember, but it was to add subtitle. And then the subtitle had a few options on the right.
Mm.
And I was following Goda's advice with, it looks exactly like what you did, but it was called karaoke, which is basically that word goes with you, shows you exactly
Yeah,
where you're
I
at.
remember that. Where did you say you found that? Yeah, I think it was in templates. So yeah, captions over here, and then they have karaoke. So they have, so
Mhm.
instead of you having to manually do things, you can do we'll do the karaoke skewed.
Exactly. And then you pick the color exactly the same. And by doing that once and chunking it out exactly like you were saying with the slash, then that allows for easy copy pasting for other sections.
Hmm. Okay, well, the media loaded. So we'll see here. I got rid of it, but now it's going to have the video. And then if we come a little further, it'll go away with the new scene. And obviously, it's very slow because it's like trying to render essentially what it's doing. So I forgot I need to now delete it once we get to this next scene so that when we go from here to there, it'll disappear. And there you go. Well, I'll get to editing this meta video of ours and we'll get it up there and hopefully help some people struggle through
Yeah.
things less than
And
we did.
right. And I think that if time allows and we want to do this again next week or the week after, the more we learn, the more we can continue doing that. We can do this again and hopefully talk about more advanced stuff.
Yeah, feel free to just tell me the topic you want to go through, and I'm happy to stumble through things.
All right. Awesome. Awesome. Sounds good, man.
Okay. Well, thanks, Tomer. I'll talk to you later.
Yeah. See ya.